Good morning, Kevin. District 1 Supervisor, Shasta County, Kevin Crye, here today. And
Yep.
I mean, how is life, my friend?
Life's good. Just, doing the work as a supervisor and staying super engaged on the county level, but then, of course, still running a campaign and then having all my medical stuff and my companies and my family. I mean, it's nothing different than anybody else doesn't deal with. So it's just a lot, but it's all worth it.
Well, you look good.
Thank you. I feel good. I feel great.
That's awesome.
Yep. I just, I'm in the middle of my 10th treatment, chemo treatment right now. So I have my pump on for another 40 some hours. I get it out tomorrow. And, but yeah, I got 2 more and then I've got surgery in August. So everything's going well on that. My ticker's good. My stent, is doing fine, taking all my meds and trying to get off all my meds, but it's a process. But again, like it's first world problems.
Yeah. So what percentage of you being a supervisor has been campaigning or running for? I was just curious about that because it seems like
very little.
Okay.
Very little this go around.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is when I was running in 22, I hadn't been in office. I wasn't an incumbent. So it's campaigning all the time. And then obviously that failed recall effort started before I ever was seated. So I didn't really get much time to actually do the work that I was elected to do and focus on that because I was right back into campaign mode within, 120 days, 90 days really. And so did that. And then now, I've gone to a couple of the forums and I've turned down more interviews this time than I've turned down collectively in the last 3.5 years. But I'm really aware of what media and most of these people are doing at this point. I mean, it's just so biased and it's so slanted. And even some of the ones that I begrudgingly did, forums or whatever, that I knew were just, total setups or, whatever. I'm just like, I'll go and do the dog and pony show because I don't want to come across that I'm not, willing to still have those conversations. But in terms of like direct campaigning, I mean, like any campaign, you send out some mailers, do some radio. So I'm doing that. But, I'm just getting the work done. Like I care more about just being productive and doing what I think I was elected to do originally.
Well, hopefully enough people are paying attention to, like I always talk about personality wise, which I like you as a person, but even if I don't like somebody, I just judge them on how they vote.
People have a hard time. I'll just tell you, people have a hard time separating politics and policy and friendships. And that's why when people at the end of the day, they cast their ballot, I don't care who they say they voted for, but if they voted for me, I'd appreciate that. But if someone says, a lot of people don't like, I shouldn't even say a lot of people. I'd say the most vocal people don't like the way I say things at times, but you can't argue with the results. I mean, people can make up all the stats and all the things they want. I mean, we have supervisors that work on stuff for 3 months or 6 months before they bring it. And there's not an actionable item for a year later. You're like, dude, like you can't operate in the real world like that. I mean, I sure as heck don't, my private business.
Yeah, we always have, we have people that literally campaign on, can't we all just get along? And, the thing is sometimes there's hard conversations to be had and sometimes there's hard decisions to be made and there's no way to please all the people all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can't all get along all the time. And
well, I mean, you just got to be open with people, and you just got to say, look, like you may or may not like this, but I'll listen. So I do my coffees. I mean, you've been to my coffees.
Oh yeah.
I'm a complete open book, and there's people that come that don't agree with decisions or they want more information. Like right now we have the River Ranch or Riverland subdivision down off 273. Some of those individuals have come and they pick my brain. That's not even my district, but I'm willing to listen to them, take their information, help them wherever I can, get more information or get copies of documents that they need. And, at the end of the day, you make the best decision you can and you move on. Like it's easy. It's easy to be in a role of whether you want to call it leadership or decision-making. If you know that you've done the work and you can go to bed at night or look in the mirror and say, yeah, like I got with the information I had to make I made the best decision I could at the time. And there's a couple decisions, that sure you'd like to have back, but that's no different than picking away on Google or Apple Maps when you're traveling to the city. It's like you have 2 paths. They're a minute difference. One's, maybe quicker, but it's more miles, but it's freeway. So you pick one, then, there's an accident. So, it was the wrong one, but you made the best decision you could at the time.
I always make the wrong decision at the grocery store.
Which line to get into? Yeah.
They always do like a register change or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm just going to pick this line and go with it.
But for me, I really see, going back to the question about campaign time. I mean, I've ran on that. I don't have an opponent. I'm just going to run for Shasta County, and it's going to come down to voter turnout. I mean, bottom line, if strong conservatives, or I would say very common sense individuals stay home, then it could be rough. If they don't, then I'll be just fine. So we'll see. It's up to the voters. And like I said, what I feel good about this election is I really know who I am. I really know the type of person that supports me, and that gives me a lot of peace. A lot of peace.
Yeah, and you came into this not knowing a lot, And
I've had, the late Congressman Doug LaMalfa and I had a couple of really good talks. We had a lot of great talks, but a couple really good ones, in the past 6 months. The last one was about a month before he passed, maybe about 2 months before he passed. And he said, he goes, you've lived 10 or 15 years of political life in less than 4. Because I was asking him, his opinion about, rerunning and my health. And that was the last conversation I had with him, which is kind of ironic. We talked about, my health, where I was, in that journey. And of course, then he passes away maybe a month later. And it really put it more in perspective. Do I want to rerun? But I was already into the campaign, and in my life, I'm healthier today than I was in December with my diagnosis, because now I'm treating the parasites and the toxins and the cancer that's in my body. And then on my heart side, I've got a stent now. So now my heart's working at full capacity where it wasn't before. So I'm actually healthier today than I was. So now it just comes down to, what I want to give my time to. And the biggest adjustment has been public comment, to be honest. I sit there and listen to some of this public comment, which I've listened to for over 3 years, and I'm just it's become, I listen to it still, but I just really realize how little some people actually are trying to make things better. They're just really trying to tear down and destroy. And from a biblical perspective, I'm not surprised by those people's efforts, because that's how they live their life. But I'm just running for the people like yourself and this lady that I helped yesterday. Her son's in the jail. He's in the mental health ward, or the mental health side. And being able to be a conduit for people getting services, or how I can help with small business, what fees come across as very unnecessary or unconstitutional. That's the stuff I love to do. I love that work.
Yeah. So what's the challenges you see coming up in the next, 2-4 years? That's we're going to deal with on a county level.
Yeah. HR 1 is going to require some really, really large decisions. And again, you don't know how the governor's race is going to go. Are we going to slide more to the middle, a little bit more moderate, or depending on who's elected, are they going to keep going with what Newsom's doing? And we are really impacted by what the state of California does. Obviously, even though we're a charter county, it's a one-item charter. So people sometimes, I think, misconstrue what our charter really allows us to do. That's why it's really important. I think we have to put more and more items forth, whether citizens want to do it or it comes before the board. Some people push for a charter commission, and, for me, I've really realized the commissions are really just, I don't mind the focus group, but, I think commissions a lot of times just are a way for politicians to get off the hook and say, well, the commission said this, therefore we're going to go with that recommendation. I think, politicians really should just do the work and be on these commissions and committees themselves, because that's what we're elected to do. And it's a lot, but you can have your stakeholders, you can have forums, you can have groups, but we have 80 something committees and commissions at the county right now. And a lot of them take staff time, and a lot of them, really is, going to go before the board anyway. So the board should be making those decisions. So in terms of what's coming, there's a lot of stuff with finances. Of course, we got the medical school. If and when I get reelected, there's the bridge over Buenaventura, over the Sacramento River at Buenaventura that I'm very interested in. There's the alternative custody program. But I know my race is and same with Supervisor Kellstrom's race, but ideology will definitely go one way or the other for sure. We'll either continue on a very conservative path or we won't.
Yeah, and that
that's up
bridge,
to the
that
voters.
Buenaventura Bridge is that was a plan from a long.
1960. It's been in the general
Yeah.
plan for the city race since 1969. It's supposed to create a rim road around. I mean, and we could do a whole show on that.
Yeah.
But that's a very real thing that can be done. And people say, well, it's out of your jurisdiction. Well, technically, sure. But how do we get some of these bigger problems and bigger things solved if we don't start talking about it? And, that's what I'm not afraid to do. Like, I'm not afraid to, like, grab a bat and take my hacks. And once in a while you'll strike out. But, like hitters like Tony Gwynn or, Ted Williams who hit 400. I mean, you can do big and great things. You just got to be willing to put yourself out there. And most politicians aren't. Most politicians are SOS, stuck unsatisfied.
Yeah.
And they don't want to push because also, I've had many of them. One of them today from a municipality locally. They just said, man, they said, I won't say because you would be able to know who they are by the context, but, they're just thankful I speak up. And they said, they don't do it as much because they just couldn't they don't want the aggravation or the heat. But,
Yeah.
It was something that someone didn't want in their community that a supervisor was pushing for it. And city council person is just like, dude, thank you. I'm like, well, you guys got to do it. Like every community, every municipality's got to stand up for that stuff. Can't just be one person because, I'll be out of office, whether it's in, 6 months, 4 years. It's like someone's got to pick up the mantle and go. And we're in a situation we're in the state of California because too many people have just rolled over and they just feel powerless. So, I think with Prop 50 going the way it did and us losing representation at the federal level, it's already been, we are already in a super majority or in the super minority here in Shasta County. So our assemblywoman and our senator right now, both of them are, they do some stuff, but they're very hamstrung. They're very, handcuffed on what they can do because of the state we're in. And now we lost the federal voice. So Shasta's going to have to start really pushing back and leading the charge. And I've talked to a lot of counties about that this past couple of weeks at CSAC. So that's what I think's in store, going forward is, some of the counties have got to rise up because what we're doing is not sustainable. The mandates we had to deliver services under HHSA, but there's not the funding for it. There's a lot of counties that are there now that are actually starting to look at James Gallagher's state split. They're actually bringing him in like we did, having presentations and supporting his state split. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So for a lot of people have already voted, I guess, at this point, some people anyways. But for the undecided voter that's not sure, I think some people might have made their mind up already. But for the undecided voter, why do you think you are the one to represent District 1?
I mean, that's really easy for me to answer because it just depends on what lens they're looking at it through. If they're looking at like the budget, again, I really don't like to say opponents, but if you look at the record of one of the candidates who's at the city of Reading, I mean, they're in a financial free for all. And you look at what she said during their budget hearings and their discovery period where Councilwoman Tanessa Audette brought up major concerns. And the person, running for the same seat I am, they called it a charade and they called it political theater. Well, it's like, no, you don't get to look at 6 years of failed leadership and just wash it away and point and say, well, I'm the better choice because Kevin Crye's horrible. It's like, no, look at the records. So whether you want to look at it from a fiscal perspective or projects getting done, I mean, the city of Reading has voted on parks and all kinds of stuff that are like, they're not getting done. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, if people that need to do the research.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line is, I think affordability is one of the most important and pressing things for the nation, especially in the state and especially in Shasta County. So I've continuously made votes that have made living in Shasta County more affordable and easier on the taxpayer. And, I would never push for a tax. Well, I just could leave it at that, but I would never push for a tax unless we've really cut back all unnecessary spending. And that hasn't happened at the city of Reading, but it's happened at the county. So just on the sheer item of, financial solvency and stewardship, I mean, that alone is enough. Then if you look at, you can go deeper and just into ideology. ideological conversations. I mean, I'm conservative and my opponent is not. If you call the person an opponent, like I just don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
Like I care more about getting the work done. I mean, I've been in office a far shorter time, and I've gotten a lot more accomplished.
How long have you been in office now?
3.5 years.
3.5, yeah.
Yeah, since January of 23. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say a lot less is because I spent over a year campaigning right away.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally starting my committee back up in February when Supervisor Rickert talked and she let it go in open session that, hey, just asking for a friend if there was a recall. And, I realized then it's like, oh, this is really serious. Like she's bringing this up. She's going to actually publicize it here. And then Garmin, where's the, was it Garmin or Gorman? Garmin. That's right. I don't remember.
Tim. Yeah.
Yeah. Tom? Tim.
Tim. Yeah. I was there that day.
No, but I'm just saying it's like, so I spent from February to March, so 13 months, I was right back into election and I couldn't run on a record because I hadn't done anything. I'd made a handful of votes.
Yeah.
So, you're drinking from the fire hose, becoming a super. So I lost a lot of time of things that I would have liked to have gotten done. And again, like, what do you do, John? Like, like I don't want to sit here and talk about my private companies and the growth of all my different businesses. But it's like,
we should run government more like a business.
Well,
in my opinion. So I don't know if.
Well, for sure. But, and there's definitely some differences there about, how they are separate because, I mean, as the government, we're not producing a product or a service that we're reselling. So
as far as efficiency goes.
As far as efficiency, absolutely. Like, we've
spending within your means of what
all
your
of that
budget is,
I mean, there's a lot of people, I'm sure in your companies or in mine that you'd love to pay more money. And sometimes we do. Sometimes as owners, we take a haircut ourselves because we just have an employee so valuable. But, but there's also a line that says I can't pay more than this. It's not sustainable.
You can't spend more than what your bills are.
Exactly. And, at the county, there's a lot of people I'd like to see make more. And I've actually encouraged some people, man, you should go work in the private industry. My guy would never say that unless they asked me, but I'll get, employees once in a while that will ask me, I wouldn't say life advice. Well, sometimes they do, but some of them would be like, hey, so-and-so, just retired. I'm thinking about this and going out of dude, go out on your own. Like, I think that's great. Like, I think being self-employed and I mean, it's a risk and it's not for everybody, but some people just really enjoy the public service or they enjoy like, hey, I go to work at 8 and when I clock out at 5, I don't think about it until if it's Friday, I don't think about it until Monday. And there's a lot to be said about that.
Absolutely. Different.
And different strokes, for different folks. So
when you own your own business, I always joke around and say, I don't know who owns who.
Well, exactly. And, I think the thing that no matter how much money you have, you can't purchase is time. And my time now is more valuable to me than it's ever been. Because I've always thought, man, I'll live to be 80 or 90 years old. I work out, I do this, I do that. But and the cancer actually didn't even make me think twice about this is just like a cold. I'll get over this. This year's going to suck. I'm going to have to do appointments and blah, blah, blah. Heart attack was different because as you know, or anybody knows, you can have one or you can have a car accident.
Yeah.
And it's it. Your ticket's been punched. So now it's really made me reflective on who I spend time with, what interviews I do, trips I take, employees I, hire or who I spend time with. And it's just changed. So now for me, this next 4 years, if I'm, fortunate enough or blessed enough or maybe cursed enough, depends on how you look at it, to get reelected, we're gonna get some big things accomplished because now I know how it works. I know what you need to do. And I think because of this campaign, all supervisors right now have really showed their colors of where they are, which I think I've always liked that. I've always like, just tell me where you are. Let's leave the politics out. Let's just get the policy. Let's just get to this work done.
Yeah, it's not always a left-right thing. It's
exactly. It's like, do we want to go this way or not? And that's and that's what I look forward to.
Awesome.
But my life's going to greatly improve one way or the other next week. I mean, in the next 2 weeks, I guess, because they count votes for a while. But like I said, I'm happy to do the work. I'm excited to do the work. But if there's not great turnout, then, we'll see where those results fall. And either way, it's a big win for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I'm glad to serve the county, but it has been a great personal sacrifice financially and just with the family.
Energy wise, time wise.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, like I'm never going to complain about the time I spend because I do own my time. My time doesn't own me. So you know, I can put my time into serving the county and doing all the things I'm doing there, or I can put it into my own private companies and then philanthropic efforts that, you know, I don't really talk about publicly because I don't do it for the notoriety. I do it because I care about certain people, certain things, certain initiatives that need support, and I'm happy to support them.
Awesome.
You know,
where do people go to find what you're doing, and how can they donate, and how could they join? I don't know if you're looking for anybody to help. I mean, it's kind of late in the game now, but
there's always needs for any of that. People wanting to, like, whether it's they want to go door knocking. I'll be door knocking up until the election day a little bit. I do it far less now than I used to, just for obviously stated reasons of doing the work as a supervisor, but then also my health issues. But yeah, they can go to votekevincrye.com. You know, and even if they give $10, it's like that'll send out a text message. So I mean, I'll never turn down people that want to get involved that way, because some people say, "Hey, look, I can't knock on doors. I'm not gonna you know, make phone calls. I'm not gonna do any of this stuff, but I can give you $25 or I can give you a couple $100. Great." You know, and then we'll put that right into the campaign and make sure there's a return. Because in the event that this does go possibly to November, which it very well could, then, you know, it starts right back up. And that's kind of the nature of, you know, what we do. So, but I'm always available by phone call, Ninja Jam, people can get a hold of me. So, and I've got coffee Friday at Kaleidoscope. I'll do that again. So if this posts today's Thursday, but tomorrow, 8 a.m. at Kaleidoscope, I'll have coffee. People can come out and see me.
Well, I hope somebody wins outright, because that way it could save another 6 months of campaigning, or June, July, August, September. October.
You know, I've had
5 months, I guess.
Yeah, I've had, you know, in 22, I can remember being in Florida because we went on vacation, and they're still counting the votes. And I can remember praying, like, all right, Lord, like, you know, and again, like, never being through an election, you don't know what to expect. You think you're doing great, and then you're, you know, behind. And then it's like, I just want to make it to November. Let me get to November, you know? So, but for me, you know, I'm so good with whatever the outcome is. I mean, like I said, I know walking through Costco or other just places, like even in Reno this weekend, I was over in Reno for Memorial Day weekend for a basketball tournament. People I don't even know that are from Redding, or one person was from actually Cottonwood. Mm-hmm. They live in Tehama County, so they're not even, you know, and they just say how much they appreciate, you know, what I believe, you know, how I move things that are of importance to them forward. And, you know, hearing that, it's like, you can tell a lot by the people that support you and the people that rally around you. I mean, I have Democrats that, you know, are staunch Democrats, but they're supporters of mine, because they're like, look, a lot of this stuff is nonpartisan. They've made it partisan in the last, you know, few years with Trump and all the other stuff going on, but it's become so red versus blue, which is really sad. But when people say, look, like we don't want our taxes raised, and we want, you know, more access or better access to healthcare, and, you know, we want safer neighborhoods, and you're doing things in all these different areas to make that difference, whereas a lot of people haven't, because they're big tasks, you know? So, I mean, you look at how many things I sponsored in the last 3.5 years, and that was even with all the other stuff I was going through. And you look at what other people bring, like they don't, you know, just it's data. So anyway, I don't want to ramble, but that's just how I feel. Like there's a lot to get done for this county, and I'm not gonna sit around and bide my time. I mean, the people that are in office, like, you know, for multiple terms, you just think, geez, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does seem that things move a little faster than the speed of government sometime with some of you guys up there making decisions and not kicking the can down the road.
I mean, people are, you know, it's like, I don't want this a whole other topic, but like impact fees, we got rid of those. We suspended them because I believe they're unconstitutional, and the way that we're spending that money, we can't even spend the money down. Like, we're still spending it down. I mean, when I pay an impact fee, because, you know, I bought a property downtown, that impact fee, like, I expect that to get reinvested into the city, because I want to see something improved based on the fee I just paid for the impact my business has created. And, you know, the government It's not meant to be a savings account or a slush fund or a rainy. It's like we're not growing exponentially. So people got to tighten their belts and understand that, hey, we have infrastructure needs and issues and investments that'll have to be made. Let's save for that now instead of getting to it and say we don't have any money for it. We'll plan for it. That's what we do in business. We don't just get an infusion of cash when we want to make an improvement to a property. We got to save for it. Anyway.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview. Is there any closing comments or anything? I know we're getting to the end of where I got to be somewhere. You got to be somewhere.
Just get out on June 2nd, whether you vote in person that day or you're going to drop it in the box. If you're going to drop it in the box, I'd drop it in the box probably by Friday or Saturday. You can always go down to the clerk's office downtown and drop it off there, but get to your precinct and just make your vote count. Get involved.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.